Dear dads, your kids are not something to get away from. Yesterday, I was having a conversation with someone, and this person, a man, has kids. He was talking about, he likes to go watch movies by himself as a way to unwind. And at first, he was just talking about that part of the conversation, which is like, hey, like what I like to do to kind of, relax, rest, rejuvenate is I like to go to the movies by myself. And so that's how the conversation was started. And I was standing there with my wife. I had my son in the baby carrier hanging on my arm, and my daughter was standing right here with my wife. My daughter's 3. And so he was saying, I like to go to the movies to rest. And then he said, because you got to get away from these two. And he pointed at my kids. And I just stood there, didn't really change my reaction or anything like that. And later my wife was like, I noticed that you kind of stiffened up whenever he said that. And it's because I just don't believe that, right? Like, I don't believe that I need to get away from my children. In fact, I already believe I spend enough time away from them. And I work during the week. I'm in sales professionally. Great career, but I work during the week. But when I'm with my kids, man, like I'm with my kids. I'm very diligent about spending time with them, staying connected. My parents were not around much when I was a kid, so I'm not trying to be like that. But fundamentally, what bothered me was what this guy was basically saying was like, hey, I need time to get away from my kids so that I can have rest. And I just don't believe in that. I believe that men, you're probably spending enough time away working, and simply put, because you had the kids, like they're your responsibility. And if you see them as something to be gotten away from, I think something's messed up with how you view your children and who they are in your life. You view them as a thing you have to deal with. You don't view them as a extremely valuable responsibility and the best use of your time. You feel like, I could be doing something better with my time than being with my children. Whereas me, I'm like, dude, that's the best thing that I could possibly do. A lot of my issues in life, and this isn't a blame thing, it's just the reality. A lot of issues in my life came from traumas and issues I had because of how I was raised in interactions with my mom and dad. And so if that's true, then that means that a lot of the issues that my kids are going to have can come from me. But the sad part is a lot of the ones that I've had issues with, like, I don't really have to go too far down to say, hey, they were more like neglect and abuse types of things, right? And so, like, I'm not trying to be like that with my kids. And some people say, well, I'm not that person. Well, it's like, hey, dude, you got to understand, kids are smart and they can pick up on stuff. They've done studies that show kids can tell even when it's not their parent and a child is sitting playing, they've videoed the kid playing, and then they have someone come in the room that's being aggressive, and the way that kid plays alters because they recognize the presence of the adult and the anger, the atmosphere that they're creating. So you can be nice and stuff, but when you start saying stuff like, got to get away from these two, got to deal with these kids, that language, man, it creates a posture, and your kids understand that stuff whether you want to admit it or not. So when he said that, like, I tensed up, man, because I heavily disagree with that. And I think men especially, like, for some reason we've got it made up in our minds that our kids are a hindrance. They're something that we need to get away from, deal with. And I'm like, bro, I want my kids to come with me everywhere. Like, I want as much time as I can with them. Like, I'm going to make sure that I put up boundaries so that I can be present with my children, because there will be no other relationship that you can have more impact on than them. And the real thing is, when they get older, their peer groups are going to have more influence than you. So when they're young and they're impressionable and they're your responsibility, nothing will affect them more in those years than you. And then if you want them to stand upright and have a certain way of behavior and a certain value set amongst peers in a world where if you like me, you don't really like how things are going, like how you interact with them and what you say to them, the environment you say. And so like to me, that bothered me because he said it right in front of my kids. And so the reason I even share this is to simply say most people do not admit to how much they affect their children like this. And it all comes back to like, and I'm talking to men here, man, like that's just who I'm speaking to. Like if you view your kids as a problem to be solved, or you view them as something that you have to deal with, that's going to manifest in how they feel about you, how they respond to you, what they think about what you say and believe. And so until you switch to say, hey, no, like this is my children are the most valuable use of my time. I don't care about pickleball. I don't care about golf. I don't care about work. I don't care. These are number one. Like if you don't say that and diligently believe that, it's going to affect your kids. So just want to get on here and share that, man, because I'm passionate about that, and it's just something that happened, and I just feel like, to be honest, there's not a lot of people talking about this, about how men show up and have a balance across how they see their life, how they see their children, their family, how they actually live out things they say they value. So if you walk around saying that stuff about your kids, man, they feel it, they perceive it. Be very careful with that. They're the most valuable place you can spend your time, your wife and your kids. Nothing greater than that. I'll see you guys later.